Sorry, I apologize for that interruption. So like I was saying, what you'll notice is that in all the exam problems we just did, I gave you the angle, right? You were given the angle, one of the acute angles. I didn't give you both of them, but one of the acute angles was given, and we solved for either the opposite side, or like in this problem, we solved for the adjacent side. You were finding the length of one of the sides of the triangle, given the angle. What we're going to see here on the next page of the notes is I will give you the lengths of the sides, and you're going to solve for the angle, right? It's an algebra problem, right? You've got three variables. You've got the measure of the angle, the length of the opposite side, and the length of the adjacent side, right? Well, if I give you the angle and the opposite side, you're going to solve for the adjacent because it's the only thing you don't know. Well, on the next page, we're going to take this exact same ratio, tangent A equals opposite over adjacent, but I'll give you the opposite and the adjacent side, making the measure of the angle the only thing you don't know, which you can solve for. So let's do that. Next page of the notes. And here we go. Oh, highlighter, there it is. Okay, so, okay. You guys know the tangent ratio that we just talked about, right? The tangent of some angle is equal to the opposite over adjacent. In the event that I ask you, because I'm going to. When I ask you to solve for the measure of the angle, right, I've got to get this guy by itself. I got to isolate the measure of the angle, right? I need this to be by itself. The way that we do that is what's called an inverse trig function. In this case, it'll be the inverse tangent. Okay, again, your calculator already has these buttons on it. In fact, on most of the calculators, tangent will be a button. Right above that, you'll see written tan minus 1. Just simply mean, but it'll probably be in a different color. Maybe it'll be in yellow, or it might be in blue, whatever. It doesn't matter what color it is. Find the button that's got that color on it, especially on the Texas Instrument. It'll be a blue button somewhere off in the top left-hand corner. You'd simply hit that blue button and then hit tangent. It'll drop a inverse tangent in there. Anyway, here's the point, right? In order to find the measure of the angle, you will simply take the inverse tangent of the opposite over the adjacent. What that'll do is it'll give you the measure of the unknown angle. So inverse trig functions, I can do this for sine, cosine, and tangent. We'll look at sine and cosine in the next set of notes, but nothing has changed, right? Still, the ratio is opposite over adjacent, opposite over adjacent. The only difference is, are you taking the tangent of an angle, or are you trying to find the angle by taking an inverse tangent of the opposite over the adjacent? And it'll just depend on what I'm asking you to solve for. So here we go. First problem. Okay, I've given you a right triangle and some information. I want you to find the measure of angle A. First, tangent of A is equal to the opposite over the adjacent. Now, we plug in what we know. You were given, here's A, right? So you were given the opposite and the adjacent side. So 19 over 36. So tangent of A is equal to 19 over 36. 19 over 36. Well, what's the only thing I don't know? I don't know A. I need to get the A by itself. How do I do that? Well, we just talked about it. You have to take the inverse tangent of 19 over 36. So the measure of angle A is equal to the inverse tangent of 19 over 36. Once again, this is a button on your calculator, or it may be a second function on your, it depends on your calculator, but more than likely you'll hit either a blue or a yellow button or something like that, then hit the tangent button to get that inverse tangent. But whatever, it's still a button on your calculator. So don't fat finger something in your calculator, be plug and chug, inverse tangent of 19 over 36, and you should get 28 degrees. Again, I am round to the nearest degree. I'm just rounding to the nearest degree. You'll actually get a decimal, but 28 degrees is the nearest degree. Okay, that was angle A, 28 degrees. I want you to find the measure of angle B. Great, let's do it again. Tangent of B is equal to the opposite over the adjacent. All right, well, tangent of B is equal to, careful, here's B. What is the opposite side? 36 is now the opposite side. 19 is now the adjacent side. 36 over 19. But I want you to solve for B. So the measure of angle B, got to take an inverse tangent, be the inverse tangent of 36 over 19. Again, it's a calculator problem. Don't fat finger something, do the inverse tangent, 36 divided by 19. You'll get a decimal, round to the nearest degree, should get 62 degrees. 62 degrees. Now, one other interesting thing here. Please keep in mind, do not forget the triangle sum theorem. We looked at the triangle sum theorem in several chapters now. We've seen it come back over the course of geometry. Triangle sum theorem simply means that the internal angles, the three inside angles of a triangle, must sum to 180. Well, as soon as you find the measure of angle A, you know that this is 28. It's a right triangle. You know that this is 90. You could simply add them together, subtract from 180, and you would get the exact same thing, 62 degrees. So either way, whether you use the trig ratio to find the measure of the angle, or use the triangle sum theorem, whichever, they're both going to get you the exact same answer, 62 degrees. All right. I got one more for you. Right here. Let's go ahead and find the measure of angle J. All right, well, tangent of J is equal to the opposite over the adjacent. Here we go. Where's angle J? There it is. Tangent of J is equal to, all right, which side is opposite J? Well, if this is angle J, the opposite side would be across from it, so 46 over. I need the adjacent side to angle J, which it looks like the adjacent side is 93. Okay, well, they want me to find the measure of the angle, so I know I'm going to need to do the inverse tangent of the opposite over adjacent. So the measure of angle J is equal to the inverse tangent of 46 over 93. Again, it's a calculator problem. Do the inverse tangent of 46 over 93 on your calculator, round to the nearest degree, and you should get 26 degrees. This is the measure of that angle right there. Okay, so here's what we've looked at so far in this set of notes. We have now taken a look at the first of our three trig functions. There's sine, cosine, and in this set of notes we've looked at the tangent. We now know that the tangent function is simply a ratio of the opposite over the adjacent side of a triangle. And what we can do is we can use that trig ratio to solve for unknowns. We can either solve for the opposite side, we can solve for the adjacent side, or as we've just seen here, you can even solve for the angle if I give you the measure of both the opposite and the adjacent side. What we're going to take a look at in the next set of notes, in the next set of videos, is now the sine and cosine function. We'll take a look at how their ratios are set up and then do very, very similar problems. We can either solve for the lengths of the sides or we can solve for the measure of the angle. Right? Thank you so much for joining me for this set of videos. I had a great time taking a look at the tangent function with you. I'll see you guys next time.